I, 33F, being dramatic about my husband, 34M, making out with my friend before we were married? For some context, my husband and I have been married for almost 3 years. He proposed to me in July of 2019 and we married in December of 2020. Yay for COVID weddings. Since then, we've had some issues in our relationship with him sexting other women. I've caught him several times and after each time he promises he won't do it again. It obviously hasn't worked out that well. I've asked him time after time if he's ever actually been physical with any of these women and he has sworn up and down that he hasn't. So, fast forward to now. He's been to therapy, couples and one-on-one, and he seems to have improved with everything. However, I recently found his iPad laying out and I opened it to see a conversation between him and a friend of mine, 32F. Just to be clear, all I did was open it and it was already open to that conversation. I didn't go searching for it. This conversation was cut off because he wasn't logged into his iMessage account, so I only saw a brief piece of it. What I got from it was that they had one night together and they wanted to bury it. I confronted him asking if they had sex and he said no, they only made out and that this was back in June of 2019. For some more context, this friend of mine was a bridesmaid in our wedding. She never said a word to me about it. She's also been one of the women my husband was talking to behind my back with his sexting situation. Also, this conversation that opened was from 2021. Over 2 years ago. The reason this conversation happened was because one of his friends that knew about this incident got drunk and started telling me about it. I didn't believe it at the time because he was drunk and always spewed off nonsense like that. My husband and my friend were just trying to cover their tracks in these texts. They just wanted to bury it and deny. Needless to say, I was livid. I've given him so many opportunities to come clean about everything and he hasn't. He and I both agreed that we need to have our walls down and be honest about everything. He hasn't held up that end of the deal because I'm still finding out things he did years ago while we were together. He literally proposed to me 1 month after this night of making out with my friend. That alone makes me feel so gross and awful. So, as of today, he doesn't want me to read through any more conversations because he doesn't want to reopen old wounds from years ago. That just says to me that there's more that he's hiding that he doesn't want me to see. I'm seriously considering a separation at this point. I'm tired of finding out that he was stupid again and can't keep it in his pants, either physically or via text. Even if it was years ago, we were still together and I feel I deserve to know about it. So, Reddit, am I being dramatic or is this still relevant to our relationship? Any insight would be super helpful. Thank you. Too long did not read. I found some old text messages that indicated my husband was physically intimate with a friend of mine before we were married. He said all they did was make out. Am I being dramatic by considering a separation or should I let it go? He will continue to sext other women. He probably has been physical with other women and will continue to do that. He knows he can get away with it. End things. Also, don't be friends with people who will be intimate with your partner. Girl, GTFO. Once a cheater, always a cheater, though that phrase isn't always true. He has cheated once, then again, and again. Actions speak louder than words, so even though he says he won't do it again, odds are he will, like he has before. You're still young. Sending my best. He is a chronic cheater, he will not change, and because of that I think you are the one that needs to change partner and friends. Are you sure he still isn't doing this and has learned to cover his tracks better? You are not being dramatic, he has lied and broken your trust. My 24 male wife 25 female brought a new roommate 21 female and I'm seeing a few red flags. Hello relationship advice. My wife's friend was recently kicked out of her boyfriend's house. They have what I would consider an abusive relationship, and it was not the first time she spent the night at our place. Anyways, my wife goes and picks her up late at night and we set up the air mattress in our office space. 3 days later I ask my wife about how long do we think it will take for her friend to find somewhere to go. I suggest her family, but she doesn't want to go to her dad's because he lives too far away, and she obviously doesn't want to go back to her boyfriend's house. So she asks if she could move in with us and pay rent. I was very skeptical, but after terms were kind of discussed we decided to do something off of the books where she can leave whenever she wants but she has to pay for rent at the beginning of the month. I know not the smartest idea, but I felt pressured, guilty into saying yes. So now we are a little over 1 week in and her boyfriend has come over 3 times and is currently in the process of spending the night. I feel like it's not my place to say anything because she's my wife's friend. But this is FC Ked up, right? Will I be out of place to tell her she needs to either go to her dad's or somewhere else? It sucks feeling like a guest in my own home. I need advice on whether or not I'm being unreasonable or not. Here are a few facts that I think should be mentioned. Her dad only lives about a 45-minute drive away. Her boyfriend lives with his family, so being here is a sense of freedom? She doesn't drive. She's up for a promotion at her current job. My wife gives her rides to and from work pretty much every day. Well, Reddit, I await your replies and advice. Thanks. Kick her out. Bye. Hand waving. They are back together. Bye bye. Dude. Kick her out before she and her boyfriend are both living there. WTF? Your wife has no boundaries. Don't leave your home but create space between you and your wife. I wouldn't even sleep in same bed as her. At the very least you need to ban the boyfriend from coming over. My 31M girlfriend's 31F confession still haunts me. My girlfriend, 31F, and I, 31M, have been together for nearly 3 years now, and this relationship has brought me more happiness than any previous one. In the past, I went through the pain of being cheated on, which led me to therapy for months to heal. I know couples can go through rough patches, but I don't have much tolerance for cheaters. Maybe that's because I lean towards a conservative approach in relationships. I value stability and structure. My girlfriend, on the other hand, has always had shorter relationships without much commitment. Despite this difference, we've found common ground and she is very committed to our relationship. Around a year and a half into our relationship, my girlfriend shared something with me. She confessed to cheating once, and in another time when she was single she got involved with a married man for about a year, a couple of years prior to us meeting. She said she felt ashamed and wanted me to know, but also this experience shaped her desire for a normal and stable relationship. It surprised me, as she's loving, sweet, and fits well with my family. However, her past actions still concern me. I worry that if our relationship faces challenges in the future, she might revert to her previous behavior. I appreciate her honesty, even though she didn't have to reveal these details. It kinda altered the image I had of her, but I also love her so much. Fellow Redditors, does the past truly define someone? Should my worries take a back seat? Has anyone encountered a similar situation, and how did it unfold? Your insights are much appreciated. 30M, she trusted you enough to tell you about the past when she could have kept it a secret. I'd appreciate the honesty and hope for a successful future with her. She had no problem getting involved with a known married man. Being able to separate those feelings is not something that goes away by itself. You have every right to be concerned. God knows I would be. I wouldn't be able to be in a relationship with someone who has done those things before. This would be a deal breaker for me personally, and even more so because it was very recent to the beginning of your relationship. In her late 20s, as a grown woman, she chose to have a prolonged affair with a married man and play her part in wrecking a family. To me, that is unforgivable, not even considering the freshness of the whole situation. People do sometimes change, but the change isn't always permanent. This applies to changes for the worse as well as to changes for the better. I wish there were a surefire method of assessing these things, but I don't believe there is one. We just do what we can. I would leave her. She got involved with a known married man and cheated previously. At a certain point you can't teach good morals. I bet there's plenty of good people out there. And for the past doesn't define the future people. This is true, but your past actions have consequences.